I had meticulously organized a fantastic beach vacation to celebrate my girlfriend's birthday. However, things took an unexpected turn when she decided to prioritize spending time with her friends instead, leading to a tangled and emotional situation. I'm a 28-year-old man, and I've been in a relationship with my 25-year-old girlfriend for 8 months. Throughout our time together, I've noticed that she maintains a very close-knit group of female friends from her high school days. It's clear that she values their opinions highly, as she rarely makes any plans or decisions without consulting them first. Our relationship began at a work event about a year ago. We struck up a conversation, and after several attempts on my part to ask her out, she finally agreed to go on a date. Later, I discovered that her hesitation to commit was due to her waiting for her friends to approve of me. Initially, I found it a bit odd that she couldn't even accept a date invitation without her friends' consent. However, she explained that this behavior was typical within her social circle, so I chose not to push the issue further. Over time, I met her friends, and they seemed genuinely nice, which reassured me that they were looking out for her best interests. This dynamic seemed to work for my girlfriend, and I accepted it as part of who she is. A few weeks ago, my girlfriend expressed that she had always dreamed of going on a beach trip with her partner, but for various reasons, it never came to fruition. With her birthday approaching, I decided to surprise her with a beach getaway. I took care of all the arrangements, booking not only a beautiful beach destination but also a soothing spa session to make the experience even more special. She was completely unaware of my plans, and I made sure to keep it a secret, despite my known difficulty in keeping surprises under wraps. I was genuinely excited about this trip because it was the first significant gesture I had planned for her, and I wanted it to be unforgettable. However, just a few days before her birthday, she sat me down and revealed that she wanted to go out partying with her friends instead. She mentioned that her friends had been organizing this outing for weeks and assured me that she would make it up to me later. When I suggested whether her friends could postpone their plans to accommodate the surprise trip I had arranged, she firmly stated that it was her desire to celebrate her birthday with them and hoped that I wouldn't take it personally. Her response was disheartening because, despite claiming otherwise, her words did hurt. I attempted to persuade her to reconsider, but in the end, she became irritated with me and insisted that she wouldn't change her mind, urging me to accept her decision. Feeling deeply hurt and frustrated by her choice to spend her special day with her friends instead of me, I made the difficult decision to cancel the entire trip. Although I lost some money in the process, my anger and sadness outweighed the financial loss. It was painful to realize that she preferred celebrating her birthday with her friends rather than with me, especially considering that I've been eager to spend quality time together. She frequently goes out with her friends every weekend, and while I don't mind their outings because I understand how important her friends are to her, I had hoped she would choose to be with me on her birthday. I recognize that this might sound selfish, but it's disheartening to feel consistently placed second to her friends. Consequently, I cancelled the trip without even mentioning what I had planned, as I wanted it to remain a surprise. Unfortunately, her decision to prioritize her friends had already spoiled the surprise. Yesterday was her birthday, and true to her word, she spent it partying with her friends, who seemed to enjoy themselves thoroughly. My friends found the situation a bit strange, but I was too upset to care. I spent the entire day feeling distressed and tried my best not to dwell on it. Today, she came over, and I attempted to act as if nothing had happened. She appeared happy, sharing stories about how her friends had gotten her drunk and how much fun they had, seemingly oblivious to the hurt I was feeling. After some time, I felt tears welling up inside me, but I didn't want to appear vulnerable in front of her, so I excused myself to go to the bathroom. I was overwhelmed by the events of the past few days and struggled with how to express my feelings of neglect without seeming insecure. After refreshing myself, I returned, determined to discuss how her actions had affected me. However, when I came back out, I noticed that my girlfriend's friend looked serious and noticed that I was holding my phone tightly. As soon as she saw me, she approached and showed me my phone screen, demanding an explanation for why I had cancelled the beach trip. It turned out that the resort I had booked had sent me a text expressing regret over the cancellation and informing me that my refund was complete, along with all the booking details. It seemed my girlfriend realized what had happened from this message. Instead of expressing regret, she appeared angry, which left me confused. Maintaining my composure, I explained that I had cancelled the trip the day she decided to spend her birthday with her friends instead. Upon hearing this, she completely lost her temper, shouting at me about how I had ruined her birthday. She accused me of being extremely immature and insisted that I should have at least informed her about my plans in an attempt to convince her to join me. I couldn't comprehend how this situation was my fault, as my intention was to surprise her with something special. She had rejected the surprise without even giving me a chance, despite my efforts to persuade her to spend the day together. I reminded her that I had tried to make plans with her, but she was determined to go out with her friends, even leading to an argument when I tried to convince her otherwise. Her frustration only intensified as we continued to argue, and she labeled me as immature and selfish. She accused me of deliberately ruining her special day once again, prompting me to respond that if she had at least given me the opportunity to take her out, she would have known what I had prepared for her. In this situation, she was the one to blame, and calling me immature didn't change what had already happened. I urged her to reassess her priorities and stop behaving as if she and her friends were still in high school. She was already quite upset, and when I said this, she called me a jerk and left my house in tears. 2 hours had passed since she left, and while I initially felt a sense of relief after expressing my feelings, I now felt like a complete jerk. I couldn't shake the image of her crying, and I began to worry that I might have somehow ruined her birthday, even though logically, I knew I wasn't responsible. My affection for her runs deep, and aside from her somewhat immature behavior regarding her friends, she's nearly perfect in my eyes. I cherish her loyalty to her friends, as it highlights her trustworthy and dependable nature. However, it often feels like she prefers spending time with them over being with me, which is incredibly hurtful. I believe anyone in my position would feel the same way. Nevertheless, I recognize that I might have acted hastily and ended up hurting her feelings. I don't feel good about what I said and did, even though I thought airing my grievances would alleviate my distress. Instead, it has left me feeling confused. On one hand, I want to apologize and resolve the fight, but on the other, I know that her consistently putting her friends above me isn't my fault. I'm torn because I truly like this woman, and I fear that if I don't take action soon, I might lose her. However, I also don't want to apologize if I genuinely believe I'm not in the wrong. This internal conflict has left me panicking, as I don't want to jeopardize our relationship, but I'm unsure of the right course of action. It's been a day since our fight, marking the longest period we've gone without communicating. It feels incredibly strange, but I'm not willing to apologize first if that's what she expects. After reflecting deeply on the situation, I still can't see where I'm at fault, so I remain steadfast in not apologizing. I suspect that my girlfriend has already discussed the incident with her friends because, upon checking my social media a few minutes ago, I noticed that some of them had blocked me. The others were posting cryptic quotes and pictures featuring my girlfriend, suggesting that she deserved better than me. It irritated me that they were supporting her and making her appear as though she was the victim, ignoring the fact that her actions had consequences. Moreover, I couldn't believe that these women, who had been so friendly to me when I first met them, had turned against me and were now portraying me as the antagonist, despite knowing full well that I'm not to blame. If they were truly good friends who wanted the best for her, they would have explained that she was in the wrong and that my actions were entirely reasonable. Instead, they are only adding fuel to the fire, which is both disgusting and disheartening. It seems they are unhappy that my girlfriend has a partner now, and upon further reflection, I realized that there are 7 other girls in her group, none of whom have maintained the same boyfriend for over 3 months. I'm not trying to shame them, but it made me wonder why they couldn't sustain their own relationships. I'm not the type of person to give up easily. I invest wholeheartedly in relationships before even considering ending them. Therefore, their inability to maintain long-term relationships is perplexing and doesn't make sense to me. My girlfriend and I have had minor disagreements before, but we've always managed to resolve them within a few hours. I don't believe she's ever complained about me to her friends, possibly because they tend to advise her to break up at the slightest sign of trouble. I don't want to end things with my girlfriend, I want to communicate and work things out. However, if she chooses to follow her friend's advice and break up with me, it would be her loss, and while it would hurt, I would take solace in knowing that I remain true to myself. Update 2 3 days ago, I provided the last update when I realized some of her friends had blocked me and were likely encouraging her to end our relationship. Today, I learned that my suspicions were correct. My girlfriend and I hadn't spoken for 3 days following our argument, and by today, I had lost hope of reconciling with her, nearly certain that our relationship was over. Feeling devastated, I decided to take a day off work to stay home, wallow in my emotions, and watch something entertaining to lift my spirits. However, a few hours ago, my doorbell rang unexpectedly. When I opened the door, I was taken aback to see my girlfriend standing there with a bouquet of flowers and a box of my favorite chocolates. I was momentarily speechless, as I had never experienced such a grand gesture in a relationship before. Her unexpected appearance left me unsure of how to respond. I let her in quietly, still unsure of what to say. After a few seconds of awkward silence, she finally expressed her sincere apologies for everything that had happened and conveyed her desire to get back together with me, asking if I would still accept her. She didn't give me a chance to respond and proceeded to explain that after our fight, she went to a friend's house where they had planned to meet for brunch that afternoon. When she arrived early, She shared what had transpired between us, and as I had anticipated, her friends reacted strongly, urging her to end the relationship immediately. They even commented negatively about me, making hurtful remarks about my height and appearance. One of her friends suggested that she should go on a date with another guy to provoke me into feeling jealous, which sounded like a blatant attempt at emotional manipulation and cheating. Surprisingly, her other friends supported this idea, claiming they had used it successfully in the past to make a guy apologize. This was the first time she had discussed a serious relationship issue with her friends, and she was shocked by their suggestions. She resisted their advice, expressing that she didn't want to pursue such manipulative tactics, but her friends ridiculed her, calling her overly sensitive and naive. They criticized her for being too submissive, implying that her lack of assertiveness was why her boyfriend behaved so cruelly towards her. This relationship was her first serious adult relationship since high school, where her only previous relationship lasted a year before her ex-boyfriend cheated on her during college. Since then, she had avoided dating seriously due to trust issues, and her friends had never considered anyone worthy of dating her. Although she had gone on a few casual dates and short-term flings for fun, none were meaningful. She confided in me that she wanted to make things work between us, and despite being together for less than a year, she felt a strong attachment to me that couldn't be easily dismissed. Observing her friends' behavior, posting things online just to annoy me and laughing it off like it was some sort of joke, made her realize that they didn't offer any valuable relationship advice. In fact, they were likely toxic in their own relationships, just as I had noticed their inability to maintain long-term partnerships. She came to the conclusion that they were not the right people to seek relationship guidance from, much like I had suspected. Realizing her mistake that very day, she informed her friends that she wanted to apologize and mend things between us. However, her friends insisted that she should listen to them instead, arguing that apologizing would set a bad precedent and make her seem weak. She tried to argue that admitting her mistake and apologizing was not a sign of weakness, but her friends became angry when she disagreed. After a few minutes of arguing, they gave her an ultimatum: she could either remain friends with them or return to me. My girlfriend recalled that this was the exact phrase they used, and I was shocked by their harshness. Despite her desperation to apologize and repair our relationship, she was also terrified of losing her friends. She doesn't have anyone outside of this tight circle and feared being completely friendless if she chose to stay with me. This fear led her to spend the next 2 days in a state of despair, crying in her room and binge-eating ice cream out of sheer frustration. Today, she woke up with a clearer mindset and realized that she would rather be with me than continue to associate with her friends. These 2 days of distress made her recognize how toxic and controlling her friends were. They hadn't bothered to check up on her after the fight and were only interested in some irrelevant gossip about a girl from their high school. This realization helped her understand that while she was ready to move forward and behave like an adult, her friends were still acting like the mean girls they had always been since high school, which was no longer acceptable. It confirmed my suspicions about their negative influence, and it didn't take her long to decide that she wanted to apologize to me and work things out because I was what she needed to improve her life. After delivering this heartfelt apology, I was left speechless for a few moments, but once I processed her words, I embraced her without saying a word. We both ended up in tears, overwhelmed by the relief of reconciling after such a tumultuous period. It's been a while since we shared that kind of emotional connection, and we've decided to spend the next 2 days together to make up for the lost time. We're also planning to reschedule the beach trip that had been cancelled, aiming for next weekend, which feels like a positive resolution to our recent struggles. Update 3 I initially thought that our reconciliation was the final resolution to our issues, but unfortunately, my girlfriend's friends proved to be as terrible as I feared. Just 2 days ago, after my girlfriend and I got back together, she shared a selfie of us online with a sweet little caption. Her friends saw this post and immediately began bombarding her with calls and texts, accusing her of violating their unwritten girl code. They insulted her, calling her stupid and weak, and demanded that she delete the picture immediately or they would cut her off from their group. My girlfriend, however, had reached her breaking point and didn't care anymore. She told them to go ahead and do as they pleased, which only infuriated them further. As a result, they kicked her out of their group entirely. I thought that would be the extent of their retaliation, but it turned out to be much worse. They started posting all sorts of hateful comments about her online, labeling her as a weak-minded woman who lacked self-respect. One of them even went so far as to say that she deserved to be cheated on. Essentially, they orchestrated a hate campaign against her, and despite her efforts to block them, the negative content continued to flood her social media. People were still sending her messages related to the posts and inquiring about the situation, leaving her feeling extremely upset and frustrated by the relentless harassment. She despised that there wasn't much I could do to stop it from happening, and I felt equally helpless and distressed by the ongoing situation. Her friends were proving to be absolutely horrible, lacking compassion and morals, and I couldn't believe they would treat someone they had been friends with up until 2 days ago in such a malicious manner. Update for ***. My girlfriend took matters into her own hands to confront her toxic friends, and I couldn't be prouder of her for standing up against them and revealing the true nature of their personalities. Yesterday, her friends had been posting negative things about her online, and despite being deeply upset, she decided to take decisive action today. She informed me that she was determined to ensure that they regretted speaking ill of her and planned to expose them for the mean girls they truly were. Her former friends had a history of sending her numerous texts in their previous group chat, where they would gossip about other people from their high school and mock practically everyone, including those they pretended to be friends with outside their circle. She took several screenshots of these old conversations and chose to post them online, tagging each person her friends had gossiped about. She herself had never participated in such behavior because she despised gossiping. Most of the people her friends had talked about behind their backs were actually quite nice, giving her friends no valid reason to be so mean towards them. After a while, her post sparked a wave of pure hatred from her high school classmates against her old friends in the comments section. In response, she unblocked her former friends to allow them to see the backlash they were receiving. She was pleased to see that her friends were struggling to defend themselves against the criticism of their past behavior. Unsurprisingly, they were furious about it as well. They added her to a group call and threatened to ruin her life, among other threats, now that she had turned against them. However, this time, I called them out on their bluff. I informed them that if they even considered trying to harm us or interfere with our lives in any way, we would pursue legal action against them. I made it clear that they needed to stop their harassment immediately. They attempted to argue with me, but I stood my ground and reprimanded them for their juvenile and utterly ridiculous behavior. I expressed my disdain for them, labeling them as nothing more than a bunch of so-called alpha females who still depended on their parents and boyfriends to pay for everything. I concluded by telling them to get real jobs and cease harassing my girlfriend for attention. By that point, I could hear some of them crying, while others tried to attack my girlfriend by calling her names, but it no longer affected us. I ended the call and blocked all of them from my girlfriend's phone once again. Now that we've finally put an end to this toxic ordeal, my girlfriend and I are back to focusing on our relationship. We're in the process of planning our vacation, making it even bigger and better than the initial trip I had organized earlier. I genuinely believe that we've earned this opportunity to relax and enjoy each other's company after everything we've been through.